My name is Lieutenant Aldo Ray. And I need me 8 soldiers. We're gonna be dropped into France, dressed as civilians. We're gonna be doing one thing only. Killing Nazis.
Yes, sir!
Members of the National Socialist Party conquered Europe through murder, torture, intimidation, and terror. And that's exactly what we're gonna do to them. We will be cruel to the German. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. They will find the evidence of our cruelty in the disemboweled, dismembered, and disfigured bodies of their brothers we leave behind us. And the German will not be able to help themselves from imagining the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands. And our boot heels. And the edge of our knives. And the German will be sickened by us. And the German will talk about us. And the German will fear us. Nazi ain't got no humanity. And they need to be destroyed. Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps.
Nine, 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 nine.
Sound good?
Yes, sir!
Hello, welcome to Movie Humpers. My name is Bob Shim.
I'm Angela.
And the sounds here may be dogs. It is World War II week in this greater month theme that we are calling Glory and Propaganda. Some real ups and downs, a lot of horrid atrocities we're witnessing this week. And this one, maybe more along the lines of a Dirty Dozen kind of thing. I think Dirty Dozen's existence helps lend to the existence of this movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, a Tarantino, our first Tarantino movie, he notoriously loves 60s and 70s films, and that's apparent throughout all of his films. When this movie had come out, I really liked it when it first came out. We went to the theater, but I have to admit, not that I ever think that Quentin Tarantino was a bad director, but there was just something about him up to that point that I was a little burnt out on. And maybe I wasn't so much burnt out on Tarantino. I mean, I wasn't in love with Death Proof or anything like that. And the Kill Bill movies are fun. Like, I get it. He's just inspired a lot of hack dude with gun. Boondock Saints is one of the most infamous ones. That would not exist if it wasn't for Quentin Tarantino. There's things in these kind of movies, and Tarantino actually does it in this movie. In those movies, you get a lot of, like, the cameras circling the scene. It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm not saying a movie can't be good and have that in it, but to me, hokey and hacky. And I was a little surprised to see that shot in this movie, because this movie is actually really good. If I could pick any camera trick to be done with, it's the rotate in a full circle around the group in a scene shot. And Tarantino, for a hot second, looked like an imitation of Tarantino. That said, though, the way he wrote this movie and the subject matter of the movie and the execution, it is high form Tarantino. We're talking about the movie Inglourious Basterds from 2009, directed by Quentin Tarantino, written by Quentin Tarantino, starring Brad Pitt, Christoph Waltz, Melanie Laurent, Michael Fassbender, Eli Roth, Diane Kruger, Daniel Bruhl, among many others.
Sam Levine.
B.J. Novak, Paul Rust. B.J. Novak's pretty well known, but Sam Levine was on Freaks and Geeks. Paul Rust, not very well known, but he's actually a very funny guy. But a lot of people don't know much about those particular guys. Of course, Brad Pitt is the lead. Christoph Waltz, this is his American movie breakout. He won the Academy Award for this movie, and it's well-deserved. He
Absolutely.
fucking kills it. And as he plays Hans Landa, he's a dangerous and ruthless, what's they called him, Standartenführer. He's like the security head guy. And when we meet him, they call him the Jew hunter. He's going through the hills of France just after the Blitzkrieg, and he's looking for people hiding Jews. Intense scene where this man is hiding Jewish people, and to save his family, he sells these people out. But the scene is so fucking drawn. Like, Christoph Waltz's character, Hans Landa, a lot of time Germans are portrayed as very rigid, right? He's ruthless like any Nazi, but he also has this charm about him that isn't like, oh, I want to really be friends with this guy, but it is like this creepy charm.
Permettez-moi de vous interrompre. Ceci est une simple formalité. Aucune raison de vous inquiéter.
Veuillez m'excuser, j'ai oublié de commander la crème. Un instant.
Tombez la crème.
He speaks multiple languages. He's very clever. He's very good at hunting people down, and he is charming in just this like creepy way, almost like a horror, like if a horror slasher character was charming. He crushes it in this role.
But he keeps his promises. When he says, I'm not going to kill your, well, as far as we know,
yeah,
he doesn't kill that man's family because he gives up the people that are hiding.
Christoph Waltz starred mostly in English and German movies before breaking out on this one, in which set his career to the next level. And he won another Oscar playing the bounty hunter in Django Unchained. There's a lot of violence we're getting this week that just shows just cruelty and atrocity. In Tarantino movies, there's a catharsis to the violence. A lot of it is based upon revenge. The violence, it can happen to people you don't want it to happen to, but it also always seems to come back on the people exactly who you want it to. The way he displays the violence, it somehow makes it palpable, but at the same time, when you see it happen, it still makes you wince. It still makes your toes curl. The Nazis shoot up all the Jewish people hiding under this Frenchman's farmhouse, but a woman escapes, and he knows who she is. Like,
Shoshana.
He that's the thing. This character knows exactly the names of everyone he's looking for. He just seems to know so much. And Shoshana, she gets far enough away, and he's pointing his pistol at her, but he knows he's probably not going to nail that far away. So he's like,
Au revoir, Shoshana!
and then Shoshana is gone, but her whole family has been killed. And that's when we cut to the Dirty Dozen-esque scene in which Brad Pitt as Lieutenant Aldo Raines, Aldo the Apache.
He's from Tennessee.
Yeah, he's from Maynardville, Tennessee. And I think it's like 1944 at this point. It was 41 at the beginning of the movie. And he's put together this unit of all Jewish American soldiers. Not all of them are American. There's this one guy that's German who had been killing Nazis in his own country.
Everybody in the German army's heard of Hugo Stieglitz.
And when they came to free him after he'd been in prison, he was like, we're big admirers of your work. Like, this guy seems to hate his own countrymen more than, like, the Jewish soldiers hate him.
He used his rank to be able to kill high-ranking, like, SS officers.
Sergeant Hugo Stiglitz. Lieutenant Aldo Rain. These are the Bastards. Ever heard of us? We just want to say we're a big fan of your work. When it comes to killing Nazis, I think you show great talent. And I pride myself in having an eye for that kind of talent.
That guy is Till Schweiger, who is a German actor and director. This movie is also a love letter to movies themselves. It pays homage to French movies as well as American war movies, French movies, and even German cinema. It kind of gives its ode to that as well. And they have a character in it who's a famous German actress who's also a deep covered spy. She's played by Diane Kruger. It's like a war movie. It's in a way a comedy, but also, yeah, it's about movies, isn't it?
Yeah. When we get to Shoshana 4 years later, she owns a cinema. The next time we see her, she is on a ladder changing the marquee.
Yeah, and getting like hit on by this German sniper played by Max Bruhl, and he's got a movie that he's starred in. He fancies himself the German Sergeant York, and he's a sniper who killed a lot of people. And they're negotiating to have a premiere in Shoshana. Well, her name is Emanuela. She's definitely fully French here. Or, well, she was French anyway, but not Jewish, right?
Yeah, she's no longer Dreyfus. Now it's Menino.
But back to this squad by Lieutenant Aldo Raines' squad. They have these German officers lined up, and one, they try to get to give away positions of Germans up beyond an apple orchard. This Nazi is like, fuck you. And then they send out this fellow called the Jew Bear, who's played by Eli Roth. Eli Roth, were very kind to the Thanksgiving movie. After that speech by Jonathan Glazer at the Academy Awards, Eli Roth came out and called him anti-Semitic. In a very even-keeled speech, Glazer was like, I refute this mass murder in the name of my Jewishness. And then Eli Roth came out and was like, oh, that's anti-Semitic to argue against killing masses of people in Gaza. So almost a little too on the nose that a guy who makes horribly violent movies in a way that's kind of different from Tarantino. Like Tarantino provides catharsis, but Eli Roth movies horrible and mean. Though because I love Thanksgiving, I did get some catharsis out of the Thanksgiving killer in that movie.
Definitely,
I will admit.
Thanksgiving is fun, but his other stuff. What are those ones? Hostel?
Yeah,
it is just torture porn.
You never need to watch that shit ever again, right? The king of violence doesn't mind mass death in Gaza.
There were a few moments.
What a shock!
There were a few moments in this movie. It's not that it drug, but it almost felt too heavy-handed. Like, for example, when he's coming out with his bat to kill that man, he is in the shadows for so fucking long, just like hitting the bat against, like, I guess building up anticipation, because they do talk about this is their only entertainment, is him killing Nazis with his bat, is watching that. So I guess I get that he's like playing it up, but he also delivers a lot of cheesy one-liners, like 2 hits, me hitting you and you hitting the floor. Like, that's not
like the stock cheese responses, one might say at the time, or the kind of reactive cool guy responses that Tarantino watched in 70s movies and exploitation movies growing up. So it's definitely drawing upon that. But yeah, they kind of just speak in these like cliched phrases, and it's kind of funny. So he beats this dude to death, and you see Sam Levine whispering like,
Now I'd be shitting my pants if I was you.
Sure enough, just watching that guy get fucking beat to death is enough for one of these Nazi captures to sell out the whole crew. They keep the promise to let him go, but they don't like the fact that he can take his little uniform off anytime he wants to, so they carve a fucking swastika on his forehead, and that's layered into that Nazi talking to Adolf Hitler himself, and he pulls his cap off, and there's a swastika scarred onto his forehead. There's a lot of plans coming together, and when Shoshana or Emanuela, all these Nazis, they want like a little exclusive premiere in her quaint little French cinema. She plots with her boyfriend, who's a black man, who they don't want to run the reels. They ask her to do it. He's like, we're going to burn this theater down.
The crazy part about this is, you know, this is a German Nazi film about this guy, but he has the hots for her. So he convinces Goebbels to move the movie premiere to her small theater, talking about how, and this is what makes it even more perfect, obviously, that it will make it more exclusive. So only Germans will be there, only officers. You have to be very important to even get into this building.
It'll be the hottest ticket in town.
Absolutely. So there's these two different schemes. You've got your Inglourious Basterds who are going there to kill them. They find out about this whole thing through the actress.
Originally, this movie was supposed to premiere at the Ritz. And that's the original intel that the Bastards have, or that they're going to meet the Diane Kruger's character, the French actor, at a bar to convene on that intel. And we'll get into that scene.
That's one of the best scenes.
But we'll get into that scene, but it's from there that they learn it has been moved. This Frederick Zoller, this German sniper guy who's war hero, quote unquote, turned actor. When we see his movie, it just seems like it's probably 90 minutes of him just shooting Allied forces, as what it would appear. He's just, when we see clips of the movie, it's just him killing people, and
they're
that
just
is it.
cheering as people die.
Yeah. So the Bastards go and they convene with Diane Kruger, the star, and they meet up with this British commander. He's played by Michael Fassbender, but he speaks German. So he grabs a few people in the Bastards that can pass for German, or that were German. So there's like German Jews and people from all over.
Our German soldier.
Who's like unhinged, and Fassbender kind of recognizes that.
Oh, Fassbender is sent on this mission by none other than Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Which it was really weird to see him, because he also has on a bunch of prosthetics. You just expect him to try to be funny. It
seemed like he still was kind of trying to be a funny character.
Lieutenant Archie Hickox, reporting south. General Ad Fennick, at ease, Hickox. Drink? If you offered me a scotch and plain water, I could drink a scotch and plain water. Letterboy, Lieutenant. Make it yourself like a good chap, will you? The balls and the glare.
Right?
It was weird, yeah.
So he does convene with the bastards, and they make their way, and they go to this bar, but it's a basement, and so Aldo's very skeptical, like, fighting in a fucking basement of a building sucks.
But she's like, if this is cool, I know the people there. There will not be any Germans there.
And they walk in. It's Fassbender, the German guy, and two of the Jewish members of the bastards, and they walk in, and sure enough, there are Nazis drunk and celebrating. Apparently, at the last minute, one of the Nazis, one of the soldiers, found out he had a baby, so they found this little hole-in-the-wall basement bar.
They got the night off, which they shouldn't have had off.
And they went to go celebrate. So, unexpected, and then the German actress is there. And of course, all the other Nazis know exactly who she is because she's a spy, but she's a famous German actress. Fassbender's talking to the drunk Nazi who had a child.
Entschuldigen Sie, Herr Sturmführer, Sie haben einen sehr ungewöhnlichen Akzent.
Your accent is weird. What's with your accent? And he makes up a place where he was born.
Well, but
to
first,
the major.
Yeah, because first he's like, "Don't fucking talk to me like that. I'm an officer, and you're not."
And that's
then
when the major walks
but
out.
he's been in this like separate little room, just drinking a whiskey. It's almost as though he came as their chaperone and was letting them have fun, and he was just back there listening to everything that was happening in that room because he knew all of them and why they were there. But yeah, he comes out and he's like, "Okay, but I'm an officer, so you tell me where your accent is from because it is weird."
It's very tense, but everything is going okay until they start to order whiskeys for everyone. One whiskey to go before the major stops being a nuisance to this table because they present as like close friends who just want to reconvene. Fassbender is like, make it 3 whiskeys. He does it like this, but Germans apparently do their numbers thumb first.
I was watching it also because I don't even think he needed to throw up the number the way things were being ordered. He just happened to be like, oh yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Because they'd already ordered. But that was the second when, and this was great because the guy was like, I have my gun pointed at your balls, and he's like, great, I've had mine pointed at yours since you sat down.
We have a Mexican standoff with guns pointed at each other's balls, and it ends up the German dude. At the beginning when he first meets, there's this little part where they see the Diane Kruger character, and Fassbender, he's supposed to be playing like her escort to the movies later.
And then the other 2 guys are going to go also.
And he gets up to be very formal with the lady, and he has to motion for the German guy, the German bastard, to come up and play that formality. Like, this character is just so enraged, fucking hates the Nazis that have taken over his country so much that he can't even when he's in deep cover, he has to be told to fake these little things. It was just a little touch in that scene that I liked quite a bit.
You could see him too, like as the scene's going, getting angrier and angrier and trying to keep it in until he can pull a gun on that man.
But sure enough, he gets to
Steaklets.
Say auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi boss.
and he starts knifing him in the back of the head while the other Nazis at the table pull out their weapons. And it's a big shit show. And the only person who's alive is the drunk guy who was having a baby, and Diane Kruger's character. And so, of course, the rest of the bastards were waiting upstairs, and Aldo negotiates for the officer to set his gun down and they can all go their separate ways. Otherwise, if you kill her or you kill us when we go down to get her, we're just going to throw a bunch of grenades out down there and you're going to be dead anyway. So he does, and when he sets his gun down, that's when Diane Kruger's character pulls out her pistol and kills him. And so she has a fucking bullet in her shin, and, you know, the bastards are skeptical, but they negotiate that because her original escorts and Fassbender are now dead, that he and Eli Roth and one other guy are going to have to pretend to be Italians because apparently they can speak like 10 Italian words.
But Aldo can't speak Italian without his Tennessee accent.
Arrivederci.
And he's supposed to be the main guy dating her. It's insane.
Well, it's time for the theater premiere, and all these Nazis are coming in here.
You get this really beautiful moment between Shoshana and her boyfriend because this is so important. And obviously he knows her history, and they're about to burn down this gorgeous theater. And the reason is because at the time, the film was so explosive. Like, the film was so
Yeah,
flammable.
it's like made on nitrate, I think it's called.
At that time, 35 millimeter nitrate film was so flammable that you couldn't even bring a reel onto a streetcar.
Hey, you can't bring those there in a public vehicle. They're films, ain't they?
Yes.
Then they're flammable. Going off.
And I don't know the history of this, but the way it's presented in the movie is that it's fairly uncommon to have that much in one building. Like, that's unsafe.
Seems incredibly dangerous, yeah, especially in a country where everyone smokes cigarettes.
Because nitrate film burns 3 times faster than paper. Shoshana has a collection of over 350 nitrate film prints.
Je vais détruire par le feu le cinéma à la soirée nazie.
Exactly. And, you know, what's so great about her is she's very, like, cold and calculating in moments. And she can hold in anything she needs to hold in front of these people. There's the dinner where she's told that it's going to be at her theater, and she has to have a one-on-one conversation with Hans, who killed her entire family. She's probably dreamed about him every night and thought about him all day, every day. And she holds it so well, and the second he walks away, she, like, bursts into tears. Yeah. But this moment with her and her man, it truly is brave what they're doing, because, you know, the bastards are coming in and, you know, they're going to kill everybody, but they're going to try to get out.
Yeah.
She and her man, they know they're not getting out. They're going to die also. Mm-hmm. But it's more important because now Adolf Hitler's there too. Yeah. He wasn't supposed to be, but now he's coming to this show.
This is the aspect of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies are, this one is probably number 2.
Yeah.
My first one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I do think that is just his most refined, well-executed movie, especially DiCaprio's performance in that is great. Probably should have won the Oscar for that movie. The audacity of both of those movies is basically changing history.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I like Pulp Fiction too. It's probably my number 3 Quentin Tarantino movie.
Sure.
But I do feel like Tarantino, from this movie on, was just on a particular role to the next level of his career that is maybe a little harder to cheapishly imitate than his earlier movies, right? Hans Landa, he meets the Diane Kruger. She's got these 3 Italian men, but he sees through it very easily. And he manages to get her into an office and strangles her to death.
Then
they abduct Aldo. And BJ Novak is around. BJ Novak gets abducted off camera because
he does. He's already in the truck they throw Brad Pitt into, and
they take his
Aldo
explosive,
says his name.
They take Aldo's explosive off his ankle.
And that's when you know Hans has got something up his sleeve, because the security's been compromised and he hasn't told anyone else. He knows that people are trying to kill in this building, and if he really was trying to protect the Germans, he wouldn't keep it a secret.
Yeah.
But he takes Aldo and BJ Novak to a different location,
and they sit in a room
and has them radio the US basically and say that if they will protect him, like they'll let Hans come into America. He has all of these like laundry list of demands. He'll
allow the mission to go forward. You can end the war. That's what he keeps saying.
Yeah.
You can end
Adolf
this
Hitler
war.
will be dead.
I'm sure this mission of yours has a commanding officer. A general. I'm betting for OSS would be my guess. Ooh, that's a bingo. Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo?
You just say bingo.
Bingo! How fun! But I digress. Where were we? Yeah, make a deal.
But you set this up like I was a part of this plot. I was a double agent the whole time. And he takes the explosive that he took from Brad Pitt, and he actually... One detail that he said was true was that he put the explosive under the officers' seats in the balcony.
Because Goebbels is going to be sitting in the box with Adolf Hitler.
So, I mean, Hans is a smart guy. He knows that, D-Day is looming, right? So he knows, which makes it crazy that Hitler would go to France, right? So they cut the deal, And it's a very funny scene where Christoph Waltz is like, he's just so excited, right? Because he knows he got to be the big Jew hunter guy for the Germans for years. He's the big security guy. And now he's probably going to be, he probably imagines himself, he's going to be the new allied propped up politician in the new Germany.
He's the hero that allowed the Americans to kill Hitler.
He helped end the war.
Sitting in your chair would probably say the same thing. And 999.999 times out of a million, you would be correct. But in the pages of history, every once in a while, fate reaches out and extends its hand. What shall the history books read?
He's even asking for like the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Everyone in the Bastards should get the Congressional Medal of Honor. He's so generous.
And they look at each other like, God, this fucking guy.
So they never go back to the theater at this point. Aldo doesn't actually know how things play out within the timeline of the movie, because now they are driving Christoph Waltz is driving them over the line to go do this trade. Meanwhile, in the theater,
the remaining bastards are ready to set up, and they don't know that Shoshana is going to burn this fucking theater down. That's just a bonus. That's just her own personal revenge.
They swap out, and her boyfriend has been up in the projection booth, but she goes up there, and then he goes to lock all the doors, and it's his job to go behind the screen, which you can see the picture above my head that is. There's some gorgeous shots in this movie, especially during this sequence.
Yeah.
And he goes back there, and they've got all of the film just in this huge mound behind the screen. And he's smoking a cigarette, waiting for exactly the right moment. And so they've spliced this film so that in the middle of the fourth reel, they let them watch this whole movie. Almost. In the middle of the fourth reel, final reel of the film, she has spliced in a film that she made, where it lines up perfectly with him saying this line about what would you say to someone, whatever. He like says something about telling someone how you really feel or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she comes on screen and basically says, I'm a Jew and I'm going to kill you.
Well, as she's in the projection booth, Frederick Zoller comes up. And he's been bugging her, like he's got the hots for her, but she's been pretty plain with him. But he comes up and he's getting fucking pissed off at her. And then when he turns his back to lock the door, then she shoots him in the back. And he seems like he's dead. And then he pops up with his pistol and he ends up shooting her. So Shoshana gets killed, though I don't think she was planning on leaving this building alive anyway.
She wasn't, but she didn't get to see it.
Meanwhile, the bastards are pretending to be like servers or something, bringing champagne, and they're killing people to access the officers' quarters on the balcony. And at the same time, her boyfriend.
Das gehört nicht. Oui, Shoshana.
And yeah, this is some of the most beautifully shot violence you'll ever see. I remember when I saw this in the theater and Hitler's getting his head machine gun.
We were
I'm just
cheering,
like laughing my ass off.
Yeah, everyone in the room was like, it's like the one time that it's like cool to cheer for 300 people getting murdered.
Yeah, totally. This is the catharsis of violence that Tarantino does get away with and does accomplish so well. And this whole sequence from her face and then the flames licking up as they rise.
Starts laughing.
It looks so fucking
gorgeous.
Cool. To the shots of her boyfriend in the back, just waiting on with the pile of nitrate to do the job. And yeah, the remaining bastards that are in there, it's like they lose their mind within the violence. And they have the explosives strapped, and they blow themselves up to ensure that anyone who ever has any remote possibility to escape this burning building.
They do right before that get to shoot Hitler and Goebbels.
Yeah.
They come in and they shoot them dead too. So we know they're double dead.
So this is like an ultimate sacrifice here. Like you want to kill, to destroy fascism, to destroy Nazis, to destroy these people that are killing their own people and killing Jewish people all across Europe.
Black people, gay people.
You would sacrifice your own, the thing you love the most, your own movie theater. What does Quentin Tarantino love the most?
He has a theater in LA.
Movies, right?
Yeah.
Aldo and the rest are out in the woods, and they untie Hans Landa, and he is supposed to, well, he surrenders to them formally, and he starts to tie them up. He's like, this is unnecessary. You don't have to handcuff me. And Aldo's like, this is, I like to keep up with appearances here. And then they shoot the Nazi guy that's with Hans, and he's like, why the fuck did you do that? And he's like, they don't want him. They don't give a fuck about him. They just want you.
I love the line where he says,
You'll be shot for this!
Nah, I don't think so. More like chewed out. I've been chewed out before.
yeah.
And then he goes on a familiar speech.
When you get to your little place on Nantucket Island, I imagine you won't take off that handsome-looking SS uniform of yours. Ain't you? That's what I thought.
He's going to reap the benefits of heroism because he saw the writing on the wall at the last minute and made the smart choice. But of course, it doesn't sit right with Aldo. If it was up to him, he would have him wear that suit all the time.
Every day for the rest of his life, yeah.
And of course, we know where this is going.
What are the optics of giving someone a Congressional Medal of Honor that has a swastika on their forehead? I feel like that's not happening. Yeah.
No, I had a feeling it wasn't going to happen either way.
I thought they were just going to kill him.
And that is Inglourious Basterds 2009 by Quentin Tarantino, our first Quentin Tarantino movie. And for the existence of this movie, Angela, you can thank Harvey and Bob Weinstein, the Weinstein Company, for producing this movie. Yeah, that's right. Let's say it in unison. Thank you, Harvey Weinstein.
I would like to thank Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, who believed in us and made this movie.
Harvey, thank you to Harvey.
Harvey Weinstein for his commitment.
And to Harvey Weinstein and everyone at Miramax.
These Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein and Lawrence Bender and
Harvey and Bob Weinstein. You also break my heart with your uncensored passion.
I literally physically can't.
Yeah, this guy, I think he did produce a lot of Tarantino's movies.
He produced a lot of movies and a lot of good movies. And it
of course. But yeah, he's a rapist piece of shit. Every time I hear his name, though, I just think about that time where he was jacking off in front of a lady and he busts in a potted plant. Like, there's an account where a woman was like, pulled his dick out and jacked off in front of her, and then he turned around and busted in a potted plant. God, what a piece of shit that guy was, right? Anyway, Inglourious Basterds. It's just a fun movie to take in, and Christoph Waltz is absolutely fantastic in this movie. Mm-hmm. We're gonna give it 1 through 5 each combined for best out of 10. For me, I think it's among the best Tarantino movies. I'm gonna go 4.5.
That's what I was thinking too.
Solid 9. It's an 8. We do shift scores around all the time after the fact, because when we dwell on things, I don't think Inglourious Basterds will go above a 9, though. But yes, Inglourious Basterds by Quentin Tarantino rests between the films Anatomy of a Fall and Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, starring the late, great Donald Sutherland. Inglourious Basterds is at least as good as those movies. Glory and Propaganda trucks along, and it's going to get sadder before it gets over. This one, yes, you can't help but revel in the piles of dead Nazis burning in a French theater. Check the show notes for links, other places to find us. I did find that someone put this up on YouTube. I'll link to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it got taken down very quickly, but you can check the links and like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what's your favorite Tarantino movies. Give me a ranking, all right? And I don't care if it matches mine. I don't give a fuck, but you like what you like. All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Let's hear it for the Bastards.
What should we drink to, sir? Well, down with Hitler. All the way down, sir. Yes.